So many of you have requested that I do a usability and ergonomics video on Sony. And for the most part, I feel like Sony does a pretty good job. They've actually improved many things. The video record button used to be in a really weird place, kind of hard to activate. I love the secondary control here on the back. We have a rotating wheel. It's a directional pad. Also enter. To change ISO, we're looking at 1.5 button presses really. Once to turn it on and then to rotate it. The secondary controls are almost all 2 button presses. White balance. We got our focusing clusters. We have our focusing modes, and that's about right. I mean, for physical controls, it's pretty good. We can use the touch monitor to change our focusing square. This is something that wasn't present on earlier Sony cameras, so this is a welcome addition. And we still have the joysticks. We have the option to choose whether this is, left-eye dominant. I can change it. I like the joystick. I love it. But when we're talking about some of the other usability controls, this is where Sony falls short. The menu systems. Pretty well known and documented that these are not fun. There's so many pages. Look on the red tab, there's 14 pages. If we had the ability to swipe or navigate with tab control, it would be a huge improvement. Great improvement. And so if you're listening, this would be one of the first things I would attack because I think it's low-hanging fruit. I mean, if you can just figure out how to navigate the menus, huge boost for usability. The same thing is when we're in shooting menus. So in terms of usability, Sony falls short in its touch screen. In terms of how we're interacting with the camera, I think it would be a welcome addition to fix this. However, all this said, some of the biggest problems with Sony cameras are in ergonomics. And I even believe that Sony proves that ergonomics don't matter so much. Many of you wrote about those previous videos talking about how great ergonomics are and how amazing they are on different cameras. The truth of the matter is that proficiency of the camera, the performance of the camera, is far more important than usability, and usability is far more important than ergonomics. The problem with the Sony's grips is that you'll notice this recession right here for the shutter button, how it actually slopes down. And because of this, there's not enough space for a pinky. So as I grip the camera, I almost have to hold it with my middle finger and my right ring finger, and my pinky misses. So as I'm shooting, this is why the grip is so uncomfortable on Sony's. Sony's aware of this. They sell a pinky extension that you can buy for the low price of $128. That'll give you that full grip. It's going to block the battery port, but many users love it. I tend to feel okay working around this. Now let's contrast that with the Nikon Z6. As I hold this up here, you're going to notice that the stage platforms are about the same height from top to bottom. If you look at this side right here, the difference is that Nikon raised the shutter button where the shutter button is, and this allows for enough space for the pinky grip to come in. Deeper too. This is a little bit more deeper than this. This is about 2 centimeters, but even then, this is not the greatest flaw with the Sony. The greatest problem right now in terms of ergonomics with Sony isn't even the grip, the shape of the grip. It is this gap right here. And even last week I pointed out on the Fuji X-T3, I said, hey, look at this grip right here. And the reason was I was demonstrating how much space Fuji had given for their lenses. So what I believe is going to happen on the next iteration of Sony cameras is this gap will be increased about 0.5 centimeter to the right between the grip and the necked G Master lenses. I'm going to put a poll in the description. And the question is asking, can you take your fingers and slide them between the grip and a G Master necked lens, like this 24 to 72.8 or the 70 to 200 2.8, without touching either side? I cannot do it even with my pinky. So maybe there's some of you out there that can do it if you have very small fingers. I cannot even get my ring and my middle finger past this point. So the problem becomes is that as I'm shooting, look at my knuckle. My middle finger is rubbing constantly against these lenses, the necked lenses. Not talking about the small prime lenses. I'm talking about these necked ones. So as I hold the camera on a long shoot, it's rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, and I have rubbed the skin off my finger several times. Now maybe I'm the only one, but of all the mirrorless cameras out there right now, this is the tightest gap of all of them. The Z6 and the Z7 are kind of close. If they have necked lenses, they're going to also run into problems. But the Fuji, the EOS R, this is not even close to being a problem. And that's, I believe, the greatest sin in terms of the ergonomics. All that said, for Sony, it seems like it doesn't matter. Why? Because people don't really talk about it. They're not complaining, and they're selling like mad cakes. And I really believe that's the case. Ergonomics is like the cherry on top. If you look at area cameras, those cinema cameras, totally unergonomic, totally not simple to use, yet they're the best cameras out there for motion pictures, in my opinion. There are some thoughts on Sony cameras. Think about it. I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.